Hey everybody. Okay, so yes, I acknowledge that this is a much different setup. I apologize in advance. I actually recorded this vlog, but it's all the way in my office and I'm comfy on the sofa, as y'all can see, and I don't feel like it. I don't feel like getting up, and I'm not going to. So I'm gonna recreate this on the fly, and instead of talking about two documentaries, I'll talk about one. So y'all know that I love a good documentary. I think the last time that I talked about a documentary was probably back in October for Murder, Mystery, and Mayhem. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. Anyway, it was There's Something Wrong with Aunt Diane, and that still remains one of my favorites. I don't know why I'm doing this with my hands. Please forgive me. Anyway, it still remains one of my favorites, but I have like a whole list, and the one that I'm going to talk about tonight is also a fave. I think that I watched it probably in 2009, 2010, and I wasn't ready, y'all. Like, I literally was not ready. I wasn't ready for how it unfolded, and I definitely was not ready for the end. So I'm going to get a little in the weeds with it, probably have some spoilers. So alert, alert, alert. If I don't tell the full thing, more than a spoiler. So if you're somebody who has not seen it and you want to watch it, I suggest you go on and do something else and come back when you've watched it so we can talk about it. So I'll give you a moment to just like click and stuff. I need a feeling. This is terrible. Okay, that's enough. Anyway, so the name of the documentary is Dear Zachary, Letters to a Son from His Father, something along those lines. I apologize, and again, I told y'all I was doing this on the fly. Anyway, it came out in about 2008. I think I saw it in 2009 or 10. Like I said, it was created by a gentleman named Kurt. I'm not going to say his last name. It starts with a K, but I will kill it and y'all will be mad. So I'll leave his name down below so that you guys can look him up if you feel so inclined. Now, Kurt and Andrew Bagby, who is the central figure of the documentary, grew up in San Jose, California, and they were the best of friends. Andrew was an only child, and for all accounts, all reports, he was an amazing person. He was an amazing kid. He was an amazing, son. He was like a great friend. Like, everybody loved Andrew. Nobody had a single solitary negative thing to say about Andrew ever. Now, Andrew and Kurt were very close. Like I said, Kurt fancied himself a filmmaker. And so he and Andrew would create these movies, and then they would film them. And so Kirk had a lot of this footage that he was able to include in the documentary, which I thought was great because it really gave you an opportunity to see Andrew literally as he grew up and just his personality, which was just larger than life. So it was nice to be able to see him just interact and how people related to him. Anyway, Andrew eventually grew up, decided he wanted to become a physician, and went to medical school, graduated. He went to Newfoundland and studied, and that is where he met Dr. Shirley Turner, who, from all accounts, was just an odd duck. Sorry, Shirley's family. But she was an odd duck. Anyway, she was 13 years Andrew's senior. Andrew was like in his 20s, and Shirley was looking at 40, saying hello to it and very comfortable with looking at it. She also was a bit possessive. She was twice divorced and just, in a different place in her life than Andrew was. I suspect that Andrew, had some commonality with her. He must have liked her on some level, but I don't think that it was on the level that she thought that it was or thought that it could be. And so therefore they had some miscommunication about what the nature of the relationship actually was. Andrew was probably just having fun. I mean, he was 20 something. He's away from home in another country, living his life. And, he was a very friendly and gregarious person from all accounts, like I said. And so, they struck up a friendship and he liked her on some level. Anyway, so they dated, eventually came back to the States. Shirley went to Iowa, and Andrew wound up in Pennsylvania to do his residency in a family practice. At some point, I think that they were kind of still dating, even if it was loosely. And kind of going back and forth between Iowa and Pennsylvania, Shirley was. I just remember one point in the documentary where, Andrew had taken Shirley to a party, and people were kind of like, what? I mean, because it was even though it was a May-December romance, like there are some May-December romances that are just cute. And people are like, oh, you guys make such a cute couple. This was just weird, just like a weird pairing, and nobody really understood why. But Andrew, was kind of in it to win it. And, it was what it was. And as long as he liked her, he was going to continue seeing her. Anyway, I think that it started to fall apart when they returned to the States from Newfoundland. And Shirley started to exhibit some like extreme possessive and jealous tendencies. And, Andrew was just not for that. Like he was like, yeah, no, this is not going to work out. So eventually they wound up breaking up, or Andrew broke off things with her, put her on a plane back to Iowa. And the woman drove almost 1,000 miles in the night back to Pennsylvania. Fruit Loop. Anyway, so she gets back to Pennsylvania and she calls Andrew and asks him to meet her in a park. And Andrew really shouldn't have gone, but he did. He probably didn't have any idea that what was going to happen to him was going to happen, and just didn't have any sense that it was going to take a turn for the worse. Anyway, as you well can imagine, Andrew went missing. His friends and family were frantic looking for him. Like, where's this kid? Like, this is not like him. He would never disappear. Lo and behold, they wound up finding him in the park where he went to meet Shirley. He was on the ground by his car, I believe, and he had been shot 5 times. He was face down. So she just shot him and left him there. The attention quickly turned to Shirley, and she became like suspect numero uno. And when she found that out, she went back to Newfoundland. Now, she had a dual citizenship with the U.S. and in Newfoundland, so she was able to go rather easily. She was arrested in Newfoundland and she was detained. And the system in Newfoundland is very different than it is here. So she was able to bail out, even though she was, wanted on murder. It was during that time that she revealed that she was pregnant. And when Andrew's parents found out that she was pregnant, they flew to Newfoundland. I can't even imagine what their mindset would have been to go over and realize that the one piece of their son that's left is being housed in the body of a complete, sociopath, essentially, that may have been responsible for the death of their son. I have to say may have been at that point, because nobody was, it was all speculation. They thought that she did it, but they were still like working their ways through the process. Anyway, so she was out, and while she was out, she wound up giving birth to a son. His name was Zachary. So she had custody of Zachary. The Bagbys went up to Newfoundland, like I said, to be closer to Shirley and now Zachary. Shirley did go into jail for a while, and while she was in jail, the Bagbys had custody of Zachary and was raising him. And then she got out. And when she got out, she was able to get Zachary back against the Bagbys, concerns and against their better judgment. There was really nothing that they could do. And so they remained in Newfoundland as long as Shirley was going to be there, because they wanted to be close to Zach. But they also wanted to make sure that Shirley was going to go through the process and go through the legal system the way that she needed to be held accountable for Andrew's murder. So they were working with these dual kinds of energies. Like, I want to be there for my grandson, but I also want to make sure that his mother pays for killing, my child. I can't even imagine. Anyway, so there was quite a bit of back and forth with the court case, and it was a lot. And when you listen to the parents in the documentary, just their perspective and how they maintained what they did, they were fully focused on Zachary, and they realized that nothing that they were ever going to be able to do was going to bring Andrew back, but they wanted to be able to be there for Zachary and, make sure that he was loved and cared for and supported. And so because of that, they put up with a lot of crap from Shirley. Like, Shirley would call them and say all kinds of things, and just seriously, y'all, listen to this woman in this documentary. It was just beyond infuriating. And just the level of cool and calm and chill that these parents demonstrate it to her without like completely going off, and actually like just always putting Zachary first and knowing that they needed to do whatever to make sure that they could see him was just beyond cuckoo to me. It was just crazy. And they were getting no help and no support from the legal system. This was just all bananas. And the reality is that if she had been detained here, if she was not able to leave the States, like if they were able to find Andrew quickly and find her and detain her in the States, there's zero chance that she would have been out on bail. Like, no chance. She would have been held until, you know, her trial, at least, or at least a preliminary, at least I think so. So the idea that she was running free after having committed this heinous crime is just ridiculous. Anyway, so to make a long story short, they go back and forth with this court case, and you know, Shirley is out, and you know, she's unstable and she's unhinged, and the Bagbys know it, and so they're like racing against the clock to try and get Zach. And there's a lot in between that, but the ending is what is the shocker, and I'm not gonna say it. I'm just not gonna say it. Just suffice it to say that it's devastating beyond belief, and my mouth hung open probably for a good hour after I watched it. It's tragedy all the way around. I do check in on the Bagbys every now and again. As a matter of fact, I'll do it after I get off of this because I haven't checked on them in a couple of years. I think the last thing I saw was like 2018. But they were elderly. And I do know that because Andrew was their only child, it really devastated them. And there were times where the dad at least admitted that they were thinking about not being here anymore, because like, what would be the point? So I know that they struggled with that, and it was a very, very, very dark time for them. And I do know that Andrew's friends all pledged to, you know, always check on them and always be with them, and you know, all that, like they still had children, so to speak, you know, just because Andrew was not here, they were going to step in and they were going to be to the Bagbys what Andrew was going to be, you know, as far as son and grandchildren and things like that. And while I think that that's a commendable effort, like, I still feel like as a parent, that hole and that ache, just, it may be, you know, filled partially, but it won't ever be completely filled, because that's your baby. Like, how could it be? Like, that's your baby. Anyway, I'll stop here. I hope that y'all will go and watch it. I'll try and figure out like where it's actually playing if I can before I upload this, but I don't want to give too much thought to it. I do know that Prime had it, Netflix had it. I'll do like a quick search. Maybe it's on YouTube too if you guys want to rent it. Anyway, I'm Felisa, and I hope that y'all are having a great night. Y'all be safe, wear your mask, wash your hands, child. Wash your hands. And stay away from people, like 6 feet. Leave some room for the Holy Ghost. Talk to y'all later. Bye.